Welcome to That's Happening. I'm your host, Drunk Spencer. And I'm not alone, am I? Right? Am I alone? No, I'm not. I'm joined by my buddy, Coked Up Kevin.
Hey man, how's it going tonight? I love Drunk Spencer.
Oh yeah, man. I just was thinking it'd be like a funny way to end start the show was to like do it like we were on drugs, you know?
I thought you meant like, for our, like we're just gonna like completely kill the show. This is gonna be our final episode, and we're just gonna get really drunk.
Well, no, I got drunk, but you were supposed to. I sent you Coke. Did you get it?
I did not know.
And I told you we texted before the show, and I told you to get Coke, right? We texted about. I told you to get Coke.
You did, and I've let you down. I wasn't able to get any Coke before the show.
Okay, well. Just strap in, it's gonna be good. I don't know. No, obviously I'm joking. It's a joke. I'm not drunk. I don't know. That probably went in and out of levels of convincing, I'm sure. But I don't know. Like I said, I had the idea for us being on drugs. That was the start of the show. We do the start of the show sometimes. Sometimes on That Happens, we like to start the show. And so that was one of those times, and we just did it. So what's up, Kevin? How are you doing? And I'm fully transitioned out of being drunk, and it didn't take me any effort, and I wasn't drunk, and I'm not drunk.
I'm doing good. Actually, I was going to show you something. This is weird. I'm not plugging them in any way whatsoever. I just find this weird and actually slightly creepy. So I hope whoever did this isn't watching and saying they're creepy. But so I guess if you're an American Express customer that spends a stupid amount of money with your business on them every year, they send you a gift every year.
Sure.
And this year, my company was with them for 20 years. So they gave me, and this isn't going to work for people at home, but this is like some kind of dice rolling kit with vegan leather. And the idea is supposed to be that you put your dice in a little cup and you roll it into this to catch it. And it's supposed to be this hand custom made. It's got my name on it. It says American Express on it.
Wow.
So my bank stalked me enough to find this podcast and then custom made me whatever this thing is. Does this have a name in role playing?
Yeah, that one's a bit rounded, but you'd call that a dice tray or like a rolling tray or
it's supposed to
dice
fold
box
flat when you're not.
Yeah, but I have one that has more solid creases. I think it's probably better to have roundness because it won't get cocked. It'll actually just kind of slide inwards once it reaches its landing side, which makes it probably better than like a hinged one. But I've never seen one like that before. It's called what Kevin was describing is like a black square of vegan leather that has these snaps that kind of pinch it together to form this shallow box. That's like vaguely like an ashtray in shape, but it's kind of like a dice tray that you roll a dice in. And then he also had a cup for dice, right? Is that what that was? Yeah.
Yeah. I just I'm super appreciative that someone went to this much trouble for me, but at the same time, I am sort of creeped out that my bank found this podcast.
Meanwhile, all the different reasons I could be toxic, mad, or jealous are all fighting with each other, so I don't know how to react. So I'm cool with this. I'm fine. Send Kevin what you want. All the business. Kevin does big business with Amex. What Kevin does is he shovels credit card bills. So, obviously, it's an important job. All the different people are courting his labor. He has good unions. The Shovelers Union. But yeah, so I don't know. That sounds really cool for sure. Do you get free stuff very often or ever?
Sometimes. I mean, I own a few large businesses, and the banks that my businesses are with just assume that personally I'm absolutely loaded and shower me with stuff occasionally. And then when they realize that doesn't make me spend money with them, they all stop.
Right. They're sending them shovels. They're being like, this will be great for all those bills or whatever I said earlier. Yeah, no, that's cool. I have gotten a couple. Or what's the coolest free thing you've got? Is that the coolest free thing you got? Maybe.
Yeah, I think
I
this
don't know.
that probably is. Yeah, I would say that probably is the coolest thing they've ever sent me. It's never been something personal before like
Yeah.
this. Like occasionally it's like, hey, we'll send you tickets to this concert, or do you want 2 plane tickets to somewhere you've never heard of before, and things like that. But this has
Bora
been kind of a little
Bora?
bit more personalized.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think probably the coolest corporate gift I ever got was we worked with CISO, obviously, to make Harmon Quest. And they sent us Xboxes. I think these are Xbox Ones, right? Yeah, I think it's an Xbox One. They're white and they have this CISO sticker on it. And yeah, and it's what do you call it? It's really nice. Like like I said, it's the nicest gift I've ever got from a company. I don't know why they sent it. They probably maybe even sent it to Dan, and Dan didn't need it, so he gave it to me. I don't know exactly how it happened. Like I don't remember the exact sequence of events. Dan gets stuff all the time for free. It's crazy. Like a lot of my job was just like trying to find storage for the free shit he got that like he couldn't even like look at because it just happened. There's so much. It's like, well, you can't even look at this to make a decision. So it just has to be stored in ever growing series of warehouses and locations. I'm sure Kevin is very, used to this with all his business dealings and shovelings. But
Do you think a lot of shoveling goes on in business?
You in your business, yeah, you shovel Amex bills, credit card bills, or something like that. I don't remember, but I remember it involved shovels. That's the one. That's what I remember. But yeah, no, it's cool. I don't know. It has the CISO sticker. It is cool. It goes with the logo, and it's like custom because it's custom because like if you press the button to turn it on, instead of doing like the normal beep or whatever, it's Jonah Ray chuckling. I don't. Why did I like? That's so much effort. I don't know why I like went back. Like I tried to go like 2 or 3 times to make that joke, and I was just like, no, it's not. And then I did it again, and it's like, what? Well, whatever. So you got any life updates, Kevin? Life updates.
Life updates. No, it's been a really quiet week, thankfully. Anything going on with you?
Well, the time changed. I don't know if you guys know this, but the time changed, and every time the time changed, people get really big opinions, and they care a lot about the time change, and everybody has opinions, and I have opinions, and I don't know. And then also after the time change happened, or when the time change happened, I don't know, the government said like no more daylight savings time or whatever. And, I don't know. It's hard for me to process my reactions knowing that I'm a contrarian because, my opinions will sometimes shift upon hearing someone else, because I'm a contrarian. And so hearing that I'd say my normal position is mostly negative on daylight savings time. And hearing the government say, oh, we're getting rid of this made me go like, well, now I kind of like it. Like now I'm kind of fine with it. Which, to be clear, it's never been a problem for me. Like sometimes it's caused me a couple troubles and stuff, but it's never been a big problem. It's always been tolerable. I never sleep in too hard or lose too much sleep or whatever. But I get that it can be annoying for people, and it's also just weird. We don't need to do it. It's unnecessary, etc. But there is something interesting about the way time works with the shifted time, and I don't know. And so like I think there's something kind of neat about it, and it's interesting to wonder what it'll be like without daylight savings time if we do in fact get rid of it. I don't know. Do you have any daylight savings opinions?
As a nerd, it's going to be chaos because every device that thinks it knows when daylight savings time happens is going to need to be updated, and half of them are not going to get updated correctly. So, but I think we're much better off not having daylight savings time than having it, because also as a nerd, computers don't like the idea of having like 2-3 a.m.s on the same day. That confuses a lot of things.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is that I just think it's like structurally, it's probably better to get rid of it. I think it's like it causes more problems than it helps at this point. But I think the argument in favor of daylight savings time is not a credible argument. But for me, it's like, well, if societally we had a holiday and then the holiday was like, oh man, here comes Uncle Time, come to steal away an hour, for the whole 3 months or whatever the fuck. And then Uncle Time's back at the end of the period and he's giving us the 3 months and everyone celebrates. Like that could be a fun tradition. I think it would be fun to just change around the clock. Like that's a fun cultural thing that we have control of. We are people, we could do whatever we want. Time is, how we keep it, what we declare time to be is like it's not really it's kind of arbitrary compared to like whatever, years and 2000, like whatever. So it's like I think that's a fun thing to be able to do, but that's not what daylight savings time is.
You think it just needs better branding?
No, it's just like I think it could be fun to be all like, oh, we got rid of daylight savings time, but now here's daylight savings week where we just remember we used to do it now as a fun thing. We gradually, I don't know, it's like it's just like as a cultural touchstone instead of like this weird logistical problem, which is that's the problem is it's a weird logistical problem.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
back
it could
up
be
a
fun.
second. You were talking about that CISA thing. I want to show you the weirdest thing I received in the mail in like the last I don't know how many years.
Okay.
So I received in the mail a card. I'm holding it up here. It says from the Good Place.
Good Place, and it has like neighborhood. It says neighborhood what?
12358W.
Okay,
anyway,
yeah.
there was a note attached to it that said, "Thank you, Kevin. We couldn't have made the show without you."
Nice.
And if you open it up, it plays a theme song.
It started to, but stopped.
It's signed by the whole cast and everything, and Michael Schur and everything. I've had nothing to do with this show whatsoever. I don't know how they got my address. I don't know how they got my name. I have not worked on the show. I have not contributed to the show. But they felt like they couldn't make the show without me.
We got to look into this. I mean, presumably there's probably just a different Kevin Day, but that's interesting. I wonder, we have contacts. Maybe Steve Levy could like find out or something. Like, I don't know. That seems like something that someone like him could do.
We should get to the bottom of this.
We got to get Steve Levy on the show after we get him to get to the bottom of this for us.
Okay. We'll pivot the podcast to just solving this one mundane mystery.
There's this podcast called Reply All. You probably don't listen to it, right? They do this thing.
No.
Yeah, they do this thing called super tech support where they solve really weird problems that involve, coordinating with multiple companies from like a journalistic enterprise as opposed to like a private customer trying to penetrate the wall of bureaucracy kind of thing, and so they do really interesting stuff. I don't know. And it's not quite that, but that seems we could do that. I'm sure it would take lots of time and money, but we could do that.
We could every week just harass a random company under the guise of being journalists, and
we could do prank calls on the show. We could do prank calls. You know how we get these listeners to give us topics and stuff? We could prank call them instead. We'll be 30 seconds or so ahead of them, so they'll never see it coming as long as we keep it quick.
I like it.
Yeah, but no, okay. So I had to take my car into the shop, and okay, so I have a new car. It was newish. I don't know if it was the newest one when I got it, but it was like a new kind of version of car with new technology and stuff. Certainly the newest car I've ever had. The last car I had was, I don't know, 95 or something. I don't know. Not super old, but whatever. Anyway, the new one, it tells you when it needs maintenance. Instead of like having an oil change indicator, it says like, you need maintenance, buddy. And then it says like a series of codes that you can look up, but it wants you to just take it to the dealership. And when I got it as a lease, which was a mistake, I guess, but whatever, I did. And so part of being a lease is they want you to get it serviced like officially or take like official records using this weird book that they can then like call you on for not initialing something if you like get an oil change for a reasonable price instead of going to their dealership. But so I get it serviced at the shop, which is not, or the dealership, which is not good, whatever. I've lived a life where I haven't done this. It's not like this is the only way I've lived, but this is what I was doing for the lease, and I just haven't kicked the habit, which I should, because I'm not on the lease anymore. But whatever, it's fine. It's hard to buy trust in the mechanic community. Like if there's people you're like, whatever. I just know they're fucking like they're overcharging for everything compared to what you can get. Anyway, whatever. I took it in. They had it for a long time. I don't like them having my car for a long time. I'd rather like bring it in multiple times for like less time to work on just like one or two things than like leave it for them for like a whole day or something. Just because I get anxious not having my oh, can you guys hear that? That's my doorbell. It's alarming. Oh, I got a story about my doorbell, but alas. But so they just had it for a long time. It makes me nervous. And usually what I do is I just walk around because it costs money to get like a ride. And also, especially with COVID and stuff, it's like I don't want to get in a ride share really if I can avoid it. And you don't want to wait in the waiting room for the same reason. So I just walk around the whole time. And so usually it takes 3 hours or so. And so I just walk around for like 2 to 3 hours. And sometimes we'll take a break, or take a couple breaks or sit down for an hour or something. But I just kind of walk around. And this time it was gone for a long time. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to walk to where I usually go hiking because I know the route, like it's a long distance, but I know it and I walk around anyway and I have all this time. So I walked all the way to like almost my hiking spot before you get to like this uphill part. And so this is in Griffith Park. So I like walked all the way from like North Hollywood to Griffith Park, which was like 8 miles or something. And then I'm like, my feet are starting to hurt. I don't know if I can make it all the way up the hill and then start a hike like after like 9 miles. And so then I was just walking around and then I eventually walked home and in total I walked like 13 miles and I was like tired and I don't know. People walk a long distance every day, but I don't usually walk that much and I'm still kind of worn out, honestly, but it was cool. It was fun because I usually just drive around these areas and I walk sometimes, but I usually don't walk around the areas I was walking. So it was nice to see them like close up and not like from in my car. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah. I like walking, but I just can't do it in LA because it's so hilly compared to what I'm used to. The Midwest is just flat nothingness. There's no hills here at all. A curb is a workout. So I never walk in LA. I don't know why.
Nobody walks in LA. It's a song. But the area I was in was actually really flat. But I agree. I grew up in a place that was really hilly, and I had to walk everywhere because I didn't have a car. And then sometimes I had a bike, but most of the time I didn't even have a bike. But it was even hard to bike because there were so many like uphills every which way you went, and that was really rough. And like nearby was another town, Simi Valley, which was always really flat, and it was kind of also like on a grid that like radiated out from like the LA River in a different part of town, and so it's like, and then the LA River just had like bike paths and stuff. So like if you just wanted to go through the town, you'd just kind of like walk either parallel to the bike path or you'd go down to the bike path and just walk along the bike path. You could get like throughout the whole city pretty reasonably. But in Moore Park where I lived, it was just just a nest of hills and nonsense, and it sucked. But yeah, I don't know. Whatever, man. Who cares about us? We should be talking. Let's get our guests on.
Oh, before we get the guests out, the chat people are going crazy for your doorbell story.
Oh man, the doorbell story. Okay, did they hear my doorbell? Did the chat say if they heard the doorbell?
I heard it, so I'm assuming they did.
Yeah, if you heard it, the recording, the red circle light that's flashing heard it. Jesus Christ, I really am drunk. So the doorbell story is that what you just heard was a doorbell, and that information may alarm you because it doesn't sound like a doorbell. What does it sound like? It sounds like the death rattle of some sort of machine demon or something. Like it sounds like a horrible screech of a monster, or like a terrible alarm being set and then immediately cut off before it could continue for too long. Like someone cutting an active fire alarm, for instance. Like that's what it sounds like, but it is in fact a doorbell. And so when I first moved into this apartment, I did not know that because it's not a part of the introducing the apartment or checking out the apartment as, and here's the doorbell. And if you stand here, I'll go ring it and you can sound what it, listen to what it sounds like. Like, that's not like the first place where your mind goes. I don't know if other people test that, but I certainly didn't or didn't think about it. And so I just moved in and, I didn't even think about it because my mind couldn't place it. Like if your mind gets a stimulus that it just has nothing to do with, it's like maybe I imagined that or something. It's like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, do I tell someone? Do I Google? Like, what do I Google? I hear sounds like, like when your mind, interprets something, you might just kind of rationalize it away and keep moving. And so that's like, I know that I heard the doorbell multiple times before I like consciously acknowledged it, including like there was a point where like I think Callie was like trying to get in and then later got in, but like not through my help because I didn't know a doorbell was happening. But then like at some point it happened, the sound happened and it just hit me in a way it never hit me before. And I was like, wait a second, that's not just like a ghost. Like this isn't this random phantom occurrence. Like this is a concrete thing that's happening for some reason, And then I was like, what is that? What the fuck is that sound? What's this sound always been? Why would a sound happen? Why could I hear it? Why is it in the house? And I started looking around and I could find like, the kind of doorbell is essentially a box that lives in your house that's connected by a wire to the doorbell. And I found that and I was like, okay, so that's definitely where the sound comes. Is that the doorbell? And then later I asked Callie, is like, what's our doorbell sound like? And then she, we talked about it and I figured out that like, oh, what I had been hearing was like the doorbell. And I just had no idea. I didn't even think it was like real. Like, I mean, I knew it was real, but I just had no, like I said, I thought it was like, is the fire alarm kind of malfunction? Like, I just didn't know. I had no idea what it was. And it was just so momentary that I like couldn't investigate it, right? Or I wouldn't even think to. It was just like, I don't know. Anyway, so that's the fucking doorbell story. But it's a traumatizing sound, especially when it's like 2 a.m. and your roommate forgets their keys and is like wailing on the doorbell, and it's like, yeah, now I gotta wake up, and it's like it's a horrifying sound. I often wake up in a lot of stress. I can hear my cat throwing up when I'm asleep and it causes me to wake up. And so I just like leap awake, like, out of bed and like I'm immediately trying to look for things when my vision's not even real. Like when my vision's still kind of like half dream, kind of like blurry vision, and like trying to find like a t-shirt or something to put in front of my cat so she doesn't like just vomit straight on the carpet. But it's never enough time because there's time dilation in your dreams. Like time registers differently, so by the time I'm like conscious, like she's, even if I've only heard like 1 or 2 heaves, she's already like probably done by the time I'm actually moving. It's just like I can't perceive it properly or something. I don't know. It's crazy, man. It's great that this is a new thing that happens because even though I can't do anything about it now, it instantly wakes me up and fills me with dread. What a great what a great time. I don't know.
Yeah.
What? You gotta talk, man. You gotta at least say words. I talk so much, just to even prove like. Sometimes I'm like, he might just be muted, and it's like, no, he's just not talking, which is fine. But it's like, that's what the audience is gonna think at a point,
I think I said this on Callie's show once, but like. One day I fell asleep watching TV or YouTube on my TV. Mm-hmm. Like I just had the YouTube app open and I was watching something and I fell asleep and I had it set to autoplay. So it just keeps randomly picking new videos for you. And I just was completely zonked out for it. And somehow it chose a video of Callie giving a speech in front of like some college students, I think.
A bunch of Germans, right? A bunch of angry Germans.
It might have been. It might have been. And like, so that sort of like entered my weird dream state of like whatever I was dreaming of suddenly had Callie like giving instructions about color.
Don't
and
tell
then
Ariel.
I had like half woken up in this like vague confusion, vague terror that Callie was in my room. So I sympathize with you, sharing a house with her.
You told that on the on Callie's show?
I think so, yes. Yeah.
You know what Callie said on her show one time was, Kevin! Remember when she said that?
Once or twice, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you hear that from where you are?
I hear everything that happens in this fucking house, man. The only thing I can't hear are the shitting sounds. I can hear like literally every single step, breath. I don't know if I assume it's me. I assume it's just like I can't like tune down my like hearing or something. Like I don't know, but like every single motion. I just know I can tell exactly where she is in the house and what she's doing at any time, and I can't turn it off, and I don't like it. I don't want to. This is not information I want to be perceiving. Like almost all the time, it's very unwelcome. The information, not that she's doing it. Sometimes, yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, but then it's uncomfortable. So usually I wake up. I wake up in the middle of the night, and so if that happens, I usually take out. Everyone drink. I usually take out my earplugs before I go back to sleep. You know.
Yeah, I found I don't use it anymore. But when I was having trouble sleeping for a while, I used this white noise generator that was really nice. So it just sort of vaguely sounded like TV static, vaguely like a distant ocean, but it just was really good at masking sounds from the outside world. That helped a lot.
Yeah. White noise doesn't do it for me. Like it's too loud. Like I can't even really sleep very well if there's a fan on in the room and stuff. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. Or I don't think I can, and then I fall asleep and don't remember. Who knows? But I feel like I'm pretty temperamental about like sleeping distractions. Like I can't sleep on a bus or on a plane or on a train or anything, even if it's really quiet. Because even if I'm laying down, like I can't sleep at all sitting up, like ever. But even if I'm laying down on something, I can't really sleep either. But I don't know, man. What's the chat saying now, huh? Did the chat watch the video? What did the chat say about the animated video?
They liked it a lot. They made some positive comments. That's long off the screen now, but yeah, they really like it.
There goes lying Kevin lying. There goes lying Kevin. Yeah, I don't know. Well, so that's what's up in our lives. Did you say anything that was up in your life? I can't remember what your life update was.
No, I really haven't had anything going on here. It's been pretty quiet. We showed Ariel's new show last Sunday.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
That went pretty well. So if you guys haven't seen it, she's sort of this like Elvira-ish horror movie host. We play a bad movie and she just rips on it the whole time. Yeah. So we showed that last Sunday. We're going to try to do maybe one or two of those a month, just for when Rob doesn't have a newfound crap. So that'll probably be from this point forward, once or twice a month at 8:30 Pacific on ShrubHomeVideo.com. She's calling it Horror Madness.
I was saying there should just be like a standing kind of slot for like a Channel 101 variety show that's just on Sev on Stage, and it's just kind of like the Channel 1 people's kind of responsibility to either do something or say like no show or rerun or whatever, or give that slot to like Op-Ed or something. I don't know, but it's just kind of like, that manic stage energy is kind of like it can be its own thing. It's like it's fun no matter what's happening. It's just weird. I don't know.
I think we need to just put Abed in charge of it, though, for that crazy energy.
There you go. Yeah, for sure. That might be too crazy, actually. I don't know if we want to. No, I don't know. That actually sounds fun. I don't know. What does your precious fucking Shrub Home Video Discord think of that idea? No, I don't know.
There's such a delay that it's a little hard to tell.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I can deal with a delay, but I don't have like the self-remembrance or whatever to work with the delay. Like I can't go back to what I was saying by the time I am seeing what they're, because like usually it's pretty clear, but I just can't think of it. This is such stupid shit. Do you want to try food? Do you want to try eating food? Well, actually, I guess first we should talk about the Coke Starlight. You know about this Coke Starlight?
I've seen the displays in stores, but I've never actually seen a bottle of it anywhere.
Yeah, it's Coke Starlight. It comes in full fat versions and sugar free versions, and yeah, like the 0 calories, and it's made by Coca-Cola Creations, Coke Creations, which is like a sub shingle of Coke that's meant to make weird shit. I don't know. I don't know if they were responsible for all those weird Diet Coke flavors. Do you remember there was like lime Diet Coke and like
Yeah.
I think they had like mango Coke for a while. I think I read that they weren't responsible for Coke with coffee. So,
Yeah.
I don't know who's doing that if it's not Coke Creations, the crazy, think tank for Coca-Cola, which, man, that could be a job. I could fucking kill as at a think tank for Coca-Cola. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So this is probably just me being weird, but I just want to like, do you, if you feel the same way about this?
I'm gonna
Sometimes
kick your ass. Oh, sorry.
you can. No. Sometimes I don't want to try these crazy new limited time flavors because I'm so worried I'm going to like it and then be just depressed when it goes away. Do you have that like same sense? Is there a word for that?
Well, I don't know. Like, okay, so to me, there's not a lot of things that I do. I'm not an adventurous person. A lot of my life is really monotonous. So, promotional items at fast food places and promotional or temporary flavors of soda are like kind of just like events that pop up. And it's like, hey, this might be something, and it's like, well, at least it's not the same as if I eat a junior cheeseburger from Jack in the Box. That's always going to taste the same. Like, that's never going to be a different experience than what it was before. And it's always going to be relatively disappointing. And it's like, there's calories and stuff. So it's like, why even eat this? Whereas, like, something that's relatively novel is like, at least this was novel, right? At least this was a new experience. So I feel like anytime I take it, it's always good. There's a lot that I like, but especially the thing is, they're just so rare that they're so good that I like am really missing them. Like, to me, when I think of stuff like that, I think of Mountain Dew Pitch Black 2, which was the great flavored Halloween promotional Mountain Dew that was sour. It was more sour than normal, so like it probably had added citric acid or something, and it was just so fucking good. It was just like one of the best grape sodas I've ever played. It had the kick of dew, the just general citrus kind of flavors and stuff, and it was just so good. And like, I miss it so bad, and I knew I was just like, I'm gonna drink as many of these as possible because I know it's just probably never going to come back. And that was kind of cool. Again, it's like we don't have the same cultural fabric that we used to. The closest substitute we have is capitalism, and it's not good that that's the case, but there's less harmful explorations of, capitalist takes on cultural rituals and things, and so like, I don't know. I think like this is relatively harmless compared to a lot of other things, even though it does drive you to support and associate positive feelings with these large, terrible corporations, I don't know. I think it's cool. I just like, I think, I don't know. Well, do you have any other thoughts? Because I know we were just going to go into Coke, but someone had an email that kind of gets into this topic a little bit, so I figured maybe we could talk about that. But do you have any thoughts before I pivot or anything to say? You never do.
Yeah. I don't know. I deal with like losing really like unimportant things poorly. Like when I was a kid, I would get so upset if somebody ate the last brownie in like a plate of brownies because there would never be any more of those ever again, like, and like to this day, I still sort of have a problem if like I get this, like, I'm drinking right now, this limited edition that's already been canceled Pepsi cream soda thing. Yeah. And like, I've only got 3 of those left and I know I'm going to let the last one sit there for way too long. So I don't want that to be my last one. And I know it's like, it makes no sense. It's silly. I shouldn't get sentimental over sugar water, but
I don't think it's silly. I just think, for me at least, I'm so closed off to the possibility of good things happening. So anything that happens, it's like, of course it's going to go away. That's all it could possibly do. It probably didn't even exist in the first place, So like, yeah. So I think like, I think for me, it's like being afraid to accept something that's good more than it's like, if anything happens, it's like, yeah, I'll just take this and keep moving before anything can happen to me, as opposed to like I hope this doesn't, get taken from me. It's like, yeah, no, I don't have anything. Like I'm clawing the soda from the universe. And that's my reward. But anyway, so I wanted to, I don't know what the connection was anyway, but this person, Abraham Paz, emailed us about allyship and says, I find the concept of allyship troublesome because it entails that women are taking care of something that concerns both men and women and saying that we are their allies, meaning we are expecting them to do all the work. Not saying you're on a bad track, but I think it's important for us men to work on our personal development without taking advantage of women's work or organizations. I don't know. Like, I think there's different reads to read this. And also they go on to talk about Mexican food, which looks really good. They talk about esquites, and which I call elotes. I know what it is, and I knew it then, and I just misspeak a lot. You probably, if you listen to the podcast, I misspeak all the time. Anyway. But, this person's thing could be saying is like, I don't know about like allyship. It seems like we're doing all the work or women are doing all the work. I don't know. But I think they're probably coming from a good place, which is like the label ally kind of denotes a lesser status in the fight. Like, we're only helping you do the job. You're going to liberate, and we're just going to kind of cheer you along because we're the allies, which I think it can be a thing, but I think it's too like I don't know. I think it just goes too deep into like individual perceptions of what words and concepts mean, right? Like if someone's version of allyship means that, then it is negative. But I don't think that's necessarily like a widespread version or that kind of thinking permeates. Who knows? Like I could see that being negative. But the thing is, like with women's work or organizations, I don't know. I do think there's this thing. The reason I brought it up is because it ties into what I was talking about, like the cultural void that exists, with capitalism. But it kind of ties into like feminism is really important and has been really important for women, and it's important for men to be feminists and to fight for feminist causes and stuff. But like feminism kind of created new gender space for men to exist, and masculinity, or like what it means to be male, has been through similar redefinitions, but it hasn't had this strong force propelling it the way feminism has. There's not like this new masculinism or something, there's not like a cohesive effort to direct this energy of, traditionally a lot of what we associate with masculinity is toxic. And like, how can we affirm what's actually good and positive about what we code as masculine? Or is that even the problem? Like, cause that's what feminism did, but maybe we're in a space where we move away from gender altogether. Like, some people are like gender is fake. Some people are like, I'm not any gender. Some people are like, I'm this gender and it's really important. You validate that, and so like I don't know what the right answer is. My preference at the moment would just be like, what if we just stop putting baggage on gender, and it's just like it doesn't matter and none of the connections are there. And then maybe it's just like, yeah, I have a penis or whatever, but we're all just humans, and then we're all like either straight or whatever, and then we declare what we declare. But it's like, none of that has that baggage. So like makeup and all this gendered stuff, it's just it's all up in the game. And then there's not gender, it's not the same. It's just things are things. I don't know. Maybe we could someday reach that. Who knows? But maybe that's not. I don't know if that's what everyone wants. I don't know if that's the best solution. But I think that because there's not this cohesive force trying to redefine or kind of build out this positive space for masculine like identity, I think that that's a void that negative fascism and stuff can prey on. It's like a weakness that is in our culture because we're still redefining what masculinity and maleness is, mostly by saying these things that were masculine are bad, and we're not saying like, and most of the new things that we can do are not masculine. So it's like most of the positive things we can do are move away from masculinity, which is not a problem. But at the same time, it would be good if instead of just adopting all kind of feminized positive traits, if we could, redefine new space that we could declare as healthy masculinity. Again, if we want to keep this paradigm at all and not move off of gender, who knows? But, part of that is cultural. Cultures throughout history have always had rites of passage for adulthood, especially for males, because male puberty, male hormones, testosterone and stuff, I think just societally can be a very destructive thing if not properly reined in. I mean, this is all pseudoscientific theory, but that's my kind of like, when I look at history, that's kind of the idea I get. All these cultures came up with this. It must be serving a valuable purpose, right? And part of that purpose is to instill in men how dangerous they can be when uncontrolled, and how important it is to kind of keep that from hurting stuff, or tune towards the military so we can focus it outwards and not into our own country. It's like we can focus that outrage, like not harmlessly, but not internally. We focus it externally. I just heard, which is a horrible revelation, but abuse can help make you feel better. So like abusers, they abuse because it helps them feel better. I guess I just didn't know that. I always felt like it hurts you too, and I think it does, but the idea that it has any sort of like short-term palliative sociological kind of like psychological effects, like that's a really bad design. Like God, bad idea, God, don't do that. Like that, whoever did that that's stupid. You shouldn't, abuse should make you feel better. Like why, that's bad. But anyway.
Do you think that's learned or instinctual? Like did they learn that you can kind of make yourself feel a little bit better by abusing because they've experienced that themselves?
It's got to be learned. I don't know. I mean, I could see it going both ways. I'd love to believe it's learned. I don't know. I truly don't know. But I mean, all I'm saying is that, like, I think that rites of passage and stuff were made by culture for various reasons, and religion's the same way. Religion serves a cultural purpose. It's maybe not, the best tool for the job, and maybe the intent wasn't as true as it should have been, but again, these things serve these purposes. We shouldn't uphold them and say they're above scrutiny, but that doesn't mean we should entirely say that, anything from the past, all of it can't be any good. We should reject everything. That's not necessarily a valid perspective either. So I just think that in the absence of all these things, we've receded from them, from religion and these cultural like rights. At least America, other cultures have cultural rights, but as we've receded to them, I think the vacuum is just like, it's essentially a power vacuum, a cultural power vacuum that fascism can kind of come and occupy, and I think it's good for culture to exist as this kind of safeguard to kind of reaffirm what value is valuable and what matters, because culture can do a lot what law can't. Like so much of what Trump taught us is that the norms are what control society. So we could strengthen the norms. Obviously we should strengthen our constitutional protections and stuff like that and make it so fascists can't take over. But at the same time, the norms weren't necessarily strong. They were just accepted, but we could make them more culturally powerful. Other norms are culturally powerful in other countries, and we have culturally powerful norms too. They're just not as intentional as they could be. And so I don't know. I just think, but all of this is to say, I think there could be a lot of culture that uplifts positive masculinity that could be very beneficial to society. That's something that kind of societally we're leaving on the table by not focusing on. And it's not against feminism, and it's not something that replaces feminism. And ideally it's something that can coexist and go with feminism. But like the person says, it's not just like any one person doing all the work. It's like feminists shouldn't do the work of redefining what men are. That's like, should be like a journey that, we do without expending their resources while we're still supporting their fight, right? And it's just I don't know. My pitch is Bruce Lee Day, which is Bruce Lee seems like one of the most positive, pure kind of masculine figures to me. It's like this kind of positive form of restrained violence, right? It's a violence that's only undertaken as a last resort, almost always only protect another person, not usually just yourself, and just like and he just has this philosophy. He has like a cult of personality, and so much of it is just like to me, and I, people can correct me, and there's always new understandings of everything, and obviously new details come to light. But like there's a lot of positive masculinity there that I think could be celebrated in healthy ways. And if we focus on why it's healthy and what makes it healthy and what makes it different from non-healthy forms of masculinity, I think that could be a really powerful, cool cultural force. And again, I just think cultural things like that. Obviously, you can't just manufacture it, but at the same time, we've manufactured so many holidays. All holidays are manufactured. They don't come printed on the globe. It's not like we get free calendars that have the holidays written in them. Like we could do this if we found it valuable, and I think it is valuable. It's power that's not being leveraged, and that is being leveraged by our enemies. Anyway, what do you think about that, Kevin?
I think that's very insightful, and yeah, I felt the same way that it feels politically incorrect almost to be male sometimes, and that's not a dig against any group or anything like that. It's just a case of
it's because a lot of what's been lifted up as masculinity has been toxic, and the reason it's lifted up is to uphold oppression, right? So It's like intentionally being defined in a toxic way. So when we target these things as toxic, a lot of people are like, but isn't that what masculinity is? And the answer is yes. But then what's the alternative? You can either be a guilty masculine, or you can kind of retreat into like androgyny or something. But I don't. And again, I'm not trying to complain. It's not like, oh, men's rights or anything. Like, I don't, because I really think, again, this is at like, it's at the same purposes of feminism. It's all in the same direction, and the hoping of kind of creating new healthiness. And so, like, I don't know. And so it's not, but I agree that it's like something you kind of got to talk about delicately. But I don't know. It's just Abby or Abraham, their email made me think of that. And so I don't know. I guess I wanted to pocket rant about it. I guess. I don't know.
That was a good pocket rant.
Yeah. This is the thing, like, there's so many rich, powerful people. There's so many people that get hired to say smart things, and I'm not researching the things that those people are researching, but I'm saying a ton of smart things for like super free. And if the right people heard the things and thought about the things in the ways that I think about them, in ways that they haven't thought about them before, I'm not saying like I'm some powerful entity, but I really think similarly, there's a lot of good being left on the table by people not listening to me. Like, I think, like, if powerful people, like, were like, wow, I don't know. Like, for instance, if I could mind control Elon Musk, like, he'd be one of the most liked people on the planet. He'd be way richer than he would be, and the world would be so much better. Just because, like, I would be a better Elon Musk than he would be. It's like, that's the thing. I feel so much, I don't know, and this is all hubris, of course, but I definitely feel like I'd be so much better at being like other people than they would.
So, like, if you had 5 minutes alone with Elon Musk to convince him to change something, what would you say to him?
Well, I couldn't. The thing is, like, okay, so I couldn't change his mind. He's like a famously stubborn, like, arrogant person, right? So is that 5 minutes gonna, like, if I assume he might take the message to heart, right? Like, I think that I would say, you will get so much money by spending the money you're spending on the dumbest shit on like valuable stuff, and then talking about it, not spending money on promotion, but like talking about it. Like, he promised to fix the fucking pipes in Michigan. Do you know how much more money he'd have if he just did that? Like, it'd be crazy. Like, because he'd literally be, he's positioned to be a like literal real life Bruce Wayne, this millionaire philanthropist who moves markets and stuff. Like, that's power that can be leveraged for so much good. If I was Elon Musk, like, and then so that I'd tell him to do stuff like that, I would specifically say, you have to make a series of blimps, airships, balloons, zeppelins, etc., that have giant air filters that scrub greenhouse gases, and be all like, I'm Elon Musk. I have a global fleet of airships that's cleaning the global greenhouse gas from the world. It's going to stop the world from ending. It's going to cost me half my wealth, 3/4 of my wealth. But hey, I'm selling all my shit. I'm buying this really nice apartment. Don't worry about it. There's tons of guards, but this is my famous apartment that I'm living in because I'm saving the world. You make all that money back. I don't know. I don't see I don't know. So that's what, I just people should be trying so much harder, but being rich and powerful buys you the ability to not give a shit about anything. And it just everything goes to waste. The best that you can do is hope that good people steal from you, or something, it's you hope those resources might go somewhere that matters instead of the person's ego or something. I don't know. Sorry, I cut you off. And the listeners hate that.
Do you think that Bill Gates is doing kind of what you're talking about there? I mean, he's spent a considerable percentage of his money on, defeating malaria and all kinds of other infectious diseases in Africa and increasing health. And, his foundation, I think now is worth more than he is, that just spends money on charitable causes. Do you think he's doing the right thing, or is it still not enough?
Yeah, I mean, I think he would probably do more, but yeah, that's the thing. I'm sure he sleeps like a fucking baby, right? Imagine how good you'd have to feel if it's that's what I'm doing with my life. That's what I have the luxury to do with my life, and it's not destroying my life like that. It's I can't, that seems literally the best feeling in the world. It feels as close to infinitely renewable as possible. Anytime you have any feeling, it's well, I'm Bill Gates. I saved the world, I don't know. And that's the thing. It's and you don't have to say that, but just being able to be I did a good thing. I don't know, I don't know, whatever. It's just, I'm also just so far removed from all that stuff. It's honestly, any decent, esteemable act for me, just gets me going for days. I made that fucking animated video and stuff. And it's just I feel so good about it. We should post the YouTube link if you guys want to see the link to it, or maybe some of my, spies that I have in the Schwab Home Video Discord could post the link instead. Who knows? But yeah, but but just posting it or just making it made me feel so good. But it's just I don't know. I also think in society it drives us away from esteemable acts and stuff that we can feel proud of and build kind of a sense of self-worth on. Especially the digital world kind of just, not intentionally, but it happens to not affect the brain the same way physical things do in terms of forming esteem and stuff like that, is my understanding. So it's yeah, but if you're a rich business person, you must be it's constant. There's very concrete things you can base your worth and esteem on. Obviously basing things on businesses, those fortunes can come and go, is, I don't know, whatever. I'm rambling. You got any final thoughts?
No. Everyone's still waiting for you to try the drink, though.
Yeah, I know. We should try the drink. But first, we got to take a short break. Hello, my name is Plato. I'm a blob of Play-Doh that came to life, and that was such a crazy thing that I just became a philosopher. I invented something that you might know as the cave, and it spawned a lot of complex thought. And it's touched the hearts and minds of many. And now you can own a piece of this legendary thought space by buying one of Plato's legendary The Cave experiences. Every experience is a package deal combining several incentives. It's an NFT. It's a collection of clay Play-Doh that you can use to make your own cave. And it's also a reminder of the uncertain nature of the material world and the inherent mysteries of the human psyche. Use the Como code. Use the Como. Como. And we're back. I don't sometimes you ever sometimes you can sit on the remote and change the audio track to a different language or something. Yeah. I don't know if something like that happened or some sort of weird, technical glitch, but whatever. Anyway, Coke Starlight, huh? Yeah. Let's talk about Coke Starlight. It took me way too long. I don't know, just this, I think it's more just my specific geolocation with the surrounding 7-Elevens and the stores and their inventories or something, but I just never get the soda as much, like as fast as anyone else. You know, I'm a late soda getter for these new flavors. It's always harder for me to find them in stores, but I finally got my hands on some Coke Starlight. You haven't tried it, right?
I have not.
And you don't have it, right? And
no, I tried,
but we got to get you some. We got to get you some. It's, you know, it's whatever. I've had a couple, but let's just give it a try. I've found that if you drink it fast or if you drink it slow, it kind of tastes different. Like, I don't know, maybe I think it, like, if you drink it fast, it hits a different part of your tongue or something. Let me see. So I drink it fast, and it tastes like if you drink Coke vanilla vanilla Coke fast, where the kind of, you get most of the body of the Coke, and but then the vanilla, you don't get the full hit of the vanilla because it's more of an aromatic, so it just kind of hits you with this sweet kind of fruity kind of note that kind of hits the sides of your tongue, and then it just tingles away, and then you're like, what kind of flavor was that? It just kind of tastes like messed up Coke a little bit. That's the thing about vanilla Coke, is you kind of got to sip it slow, otherwise it just tastes like weird Coke more than it tastes like vanilla anything. But if you drink it fast, it's kind of like that. But let me drink it slow. And what are you doing over there? What do you got? What's up, Kevin? What's on your desk? Describe some things on your desk.
See, I always feel bad because, like, I can tell that you're looking at me going, you're not paying attention to what I'm saying.
No.
It's because part of what I'm doing during this show is, like, one of my jobs for this show is to come up with a list of potential titles. So whenever Spencer says something that's potentially, like, quotable, I have to go write it down real quick, and then I realize I've, like, lost the last 3 sentences you've said, and I have to, like, mentally catch up, and then I have this confused look on my face.
Well, part of the thing is just, if I drink the thing, it's like, am I just going to drink in silence? And so it's like, so I just want to try and set you up. That was what I was doing just there.
Okay.
It wasn't one of my many like blood-eyed rage faces that I give you anytime you do anything I deem inappropriate during the show. It wasn't one of my famous one of those.
No, those are deserved, but yeah, no, I'm always busy. Like, you know, for the people at home, we usually come up with anywhere from like 10 to 30 possible titles for the show. Yeah. And, you know, this carried over from Harmontown, even, where we would do, like, you know, backstage, all of us would be like, we had like this Slack channel, and we all would be like typing in potential show titles, and then Dan would usually pick one at some point at the end of the show, and we sort of carried that over to here.
Yeah, you know, it works because sometimes you say a funny thing and it's like, man, that's a funny thing. What am I going to do with it? And, you know, there's a few answers. One is to make it the title of the episode, and the other is like to clip it and put it at like the beginning or the end of the episode, kind of like King of the Hill does or something, you know?
We should do that.
That could be good. Then it's just more work for Kevin. How did Kevin volunteer himself for more work? That's not his style. Kevin, the lazy liar. That's the kind of image I'm trying to build of you. Anyway, the Starlight. I tried some of it. I will mention it says it's limited edition, so I think it's only around for a limited time. I think it'll go away at some point. So, you know, if you don't get attached, Kevin. But it also says space flavored, which stupid, right? Dumb. You know?
I mean, it almost feels like it was meant to be like a movie tie-in that just didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I could totally buy that. I wonder if that happened. I guess Coke's maybe too big to do like a classic. That seems more like a Dr. Pepper or a Pepsi kind of thing. But anyway, so like I said, off Coke, I gotta drink it slow. But one thing I will mention that no one else but me said, and then when I said, someone in my Discord, the Discord of good people, said that, oh my God, like I felt the same way, but everyone thought I was crazy. But there's this flavor that makes a little sense when you consider it says space flavored, and it's like a menthol mint kind of cooling kind of flavor. You know, like mint has this kind of cooling, kind of numbing effect on your mouth, that kind of thing, you know, this cold, I just keep saying cooling. And this soda has that effect. It's very mild, but it leaves you with this cold, kind of almost metallic even, but not metallic. But the menthol kind of sensation that's tingly that I think is, again, supposed to kind of be space-like. But but I like it. You know, a lot of people that I've talked to or heard from don't really like it, but I like it. What do you think you'll like it?
Definitely sounds like something I would enjoy. The color seems just a little off, but
It's much more red. It's more of a raspberry kind of tint to it. It looks a bit more normal to me than it does on camera, but it definitely has this kind of raspberry tint to it. But so to me, flavor wise, it has, I don't know if other people conceptualize flavors like this. I'm sure they do, right? With kind of like low notes and mid notes and high notes. That's normal. Yeah, of course it is. I'm being stupid. So, but I think of I taste at least sodas that way. I'm not good at tasting like, beer or wine or anything, but it has kind of mid notes, the Coke notes, what you'd normally think of as a Coke flavor, this kind of caramel, like this caramelly, cola-y flavor with the spice, I think there's usually like cinnamon is kind of like a note you get in Coke, whatever. All of these kind of molassesy kind of, brown flavors. And then that, as opposed to normal Coke, it has some more kind of vanilla notes, so stronger vanilla hints, and then it has really strong, what people have described as graham cracker vibes, like graham cracker notes, which kind of, again, they hang under the Coke and kind of they make the Coke less clear. They kind of muddy the Coke flavor, like all kind of Coke variations do. But the tone is like, it's almost kind of cream soda-esque, and it has wheat and honey notes, like wheat. That's where the graham cracker kind of flavor comes from. It does taste kind of like wheaty, graham crackery for sure in this kind of mid Coke note. And then the high note is like a bunch of fruitiness. Like I think it's probably raspberry, but I'm pretty sure there's also cherry and maybe even strawberry too. It's just like fruity high end notes. So it becomes, again, kind of like a cherry vanilla Coke, if you will, but again with graham crackers. And then in the low notes, it also has, again, more of this kind of creamy sugar, kind of vanilla, nutty, or like even like a toasted marshmallow. That might just be like part of the undernotes of the graham cracker, but you get kind of this kind of more kind of, I don't know if it's supposed to be if it's just because graham cracker, it has this s'more kind of association to the palate, so it's maybe just kind of that association. I don't know.
I would pay so much money to watch you go into a restaurant and order just a plain old Coke and then launch into a description of like that with the waiter. Yeah. Going into the weedy toasted marshmallow graham cracker notes that you were getting off of their just plain old dirty fountain Coke.
But a normal Coke doesn't have those flavors, but I could describe it for sure. Yeah. I do a podcast, or no, I don't do a podcast. I do a podcast, but I have a Patreon where sometimes I post food review videos, and I've talked through some of the sodas. Like I've gotten Jack in the Box Coke, which comes through a dirty Coke freestyle machine, and it tastes fucked up. And I've like taken a drink and talked through like all the notes like that. And for that, the Coke tastes fucked up. So like I said, it tastes like if you described soda to someone and then told them to go make it, is like kind of what the Jack in the Box Coke tastes like. So, which is, not quite as note based, but but I did also talk about some of the notes. It mostly tasted like Dr. Pepper for some reason, but it wasn't Dr. Pepper. But yeah, so I think that could be fun. That would, I don't know.
I'm envious. I don't have as sensitive of a palate that you do, I think.
I would have liked to have been a food critic. I guess there's still time. But yeah. I like thinking and talking about food. I can't always taste flavor or describe stuff that well. But I think with soda, I can, just because like I've dealt with a lot of different soda at this point. I guess that's a big part of what we do, right? Is just describe soda in some way or another.
It is, but you have a unique talent for it where I'm just trying to like, it's too sweet, or, it's not carbonated enough, or that kind of thing,
Yeah. I think it's hard to break it down into like the actual, because I think it takes a lot of thought, like to break down what you're sensing and try and like put it into boxes that other people have already labeled. Like if I describe something as green or grassy, people will often say like, oh, that's not like a real flavor, or especially green. I think people know grassy is a flavor, but if you say something tastes green, like some people will go, that's not a flavor, but green technically is like a flavor. It's not like, oh, green things taste the same, but like flavor flavorists and stuff, they have chemic mixes for what they call green notes that kind of makes something taste leafy, vibrant, grassy, kind of maybe a little bit sharp and tangy to a little bit, but not sweet, you know? And so like all these things have all, like there's all this language, but it's like hidden language, and it's hard to like conceptualize and master. And I haven't, but you know, sometimes I can be like, oh no, I definitely know what this flavor note is. It's like cola, but it's not Coca-Cola. It's like the weird cola you get in a root beer candy or something, you know?
What's your favorite cola? Like if you could pick anyone.
Yeah, I guess just Coke, like Mexican recipe Coke, like glass bottle Coke. Yeah, probably that.
I'm the weird one. I like RC cola. I don't know why. I know that's so unpopular. I'm probably the only person on the planet saying that. But I feel like it has a better. It's not fighting the sweetness that I think Coke and Pepsi do a little bit. You know, it's like it's standing on its own, not trying to like win a taste test.
Mm-hmm. The thing I like about Coke is that it has a sharpness that almost no other soda at all has. Like, I don't even know how you describe it. Like, people have said, oh, Coke is spicy, and I think that's what they're talking about. It does have this sharp bite to it, you know? It's part in the carbonation, it's part in, I believe there's phosphoric acid in Coke that kind of gives it its not citrusy kind of bite, kind of tanginess, but it has this kind of tanginess. People have said that if you, like, put, like, lime and some sort of like herb together, it kind of creates a Coca-Cola like flavor. So it's like there's definitely like acid kind of in the flavor of Coke. But yeah, everything else, you know, like Pepsi and RC Cola, they're a bit more syrupy and sugar forward, you know, but they more crucially just have so much less of that edge. Like I think they probably just use less of that acid, maybe. I don't know. And it's like hypothetically you could have like a homebrew like artisanal cola that's sharp like that, but I've never seen anything like any soda at all that's ever had a sharpness like that. Not birch beer. Birch beer has its own edge, I guess, but it's kind of a different kind of like more of a root beer kind of herbaceous kind of edge, maybe. Anyway, it's so fun to talk about food. I wish like I gotta like pitch ideas to like Food Network or something because I really love talking about food. It would be so cool to get paid to do food stuff, you know?
I can see if we could find like if we can get Pepsi to sponsor us or something and just keep sending us things.
Yeah, man. We could do well, you know, if we could do a food show for the Schraub Home Video Block, you know. We're like, I'm here at Burritos Tacos trying the new taco burrito. It's 3 flour tortillas wrapped around 5 tacos El Carbone. I don't know, you know, whatever. You know, it could be a show. We eat the chicken, and you'd be here somehow, despite having to be in Illinois. You know, you'd astrally project, I assume, but you'd be here in ghost form, and we'd be talking. It would be good. I think a lot of people would pay money for that. I don't know how to make that happen, but you know, we gotta. Oh, here's what we do. Okay, so you clip this up. And we'll send it to Lorne Michaels, you know?
Okay.
That's our show, everybody. What do we got? What do we got next? What's up next?
Up next is the Best of Channel 101 on SchraubHomeVideo.com, followed by Real Life Sci-Fi and Brian Weisal's Bunziverse, and then a repeat of one of the best found traps that Rob Schraub has made.
Wow.
All on SchraubHomeVideo.com every Sunday.
I'm sorry for cutting Kevin off so much. I'm sorry that our podcast is. I'm sorry about what it's become. I mean, I like it, but it's like if someone's like, "Yeah, just Jeff and Spencer, they played D&D." It's like, no, it's not. It's you know,
we've shifted a lot in premise.
We've shifted a lot, and it's a bummer. But it's not like I don't want to shift back either. It's just like I don't know. I can't feel good. There's no way I can feel good in life. Yeah. So maybe just accept it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that's the lesson.
Yeah, somebody on Reddit made a post, which they since deleted, but it said that our podcast was Harmontown, except we replaced Dan with the least charismatic crew member available.
Sure.
And then Jeff left.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't argue with that.
Sure, yeah. I mean... if that's what you want, yeah, as charisma. I don't know. But people have called me charismatic, but I've never really bought it. But like, I don't know. I like me, I like my energy. I wouldn't call it charismatic for sure, but like,
No, I think they were talking about me being the least charismatic person available to replace Dan.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're charismatic. You're likable. People just instantly like you, don't you? Don't they? Do you get hassled by homeless people? Some people get hassled by homeless people. I feel like those people are inherently like maybe less likable.
I don't get harassed. I'm just very popular out in public for no obvious reason.
That seems likable.
Yeah.
The mystery of Kevin deepens yet again.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not more charismatic. Why did I do any of it? I just did it so I could like get laid. Never happened. Like, it's just, bye everybody.